Hello, Internet. Welcome to the channel. I am Gina, otherwise known as Ginger Dash, and we are chasing after some hills this week. That's right, they exist. Florida isn't only flat, or at least I have been told. So, sounds exciting, right? Yeah, there's more things coming, but stick around, we'll get to that in a minute. I am trying to get on a slower road so we can have a conversation or something like that. All right, we're going for this road. We're gonna hope this is it. How about it? All right, 110th Street in Bellevue, Florida. That's where we are right now. Woohoo! Okay, so I don't want you to get too excited, but there be hills on this road. Yeah, I know, and apparently there's curves too. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I can hardly stand it. This is going to be one of those silly vlogs, I am sure, that has very little to do with anything important and everything to do with just getting out on the road and enjoying oneself, meaning me. And you get to come along for the ride. But really, I wanted to come on and say, yes, that's right, I skipped posting last week because I needed a mental health day, mental health week. As you are all most likely aware, this is not what I do for a living, and so therefore I have responsibilities, and sometimes the channel can be a little bit too much to keep up with. So I am trying to manage my schedule and make things work so that I can do this as well as earn an actual living. I wanted to answer a question that has been asked several times, many times. If you have not seen the video where I talk about my personal confession, you should go look at that now, because you're going to have a spoiler here. And if you have seen it, then what I'm here to talk about is the fact that I called my mother after owning a motorcycle for a year and told her, because I had hidden it from her for the first 12 months that I owned a motorcycle. And there was a whole big conversation about that on the video that I shared, or at least my reasoning behind why I kept it a secret. But yes, I called my mother the day I recorded that video that evening, and I talked to her. And it ended up being a really interesting conversation. And I think it just goes to prove that it doesn't matter your age, as many people have said in comments since then. It doesn't matter your age, your parents are always your parents. Just like, you know, I have a 24-year-old son, and he will never not be my little boy, my son. And even as an adult, I will always worry and be concerned about him. But not to the point of being a helicopter mom at this age or any other. Ooh, we've got goats. Yay, we haven't seen any goats on the channel before. It's pretty sad when this is what I can get excited about, the fact that it's not completely flat, which is what is normal for us, unfortunately. But back to what I was saying. So I called my mom and I was like, okay, Mom, I have a story for you. So I essentially just told her, I was like, you know, I bought a motorcycle. This is why I didn't tell you. Now I feel really foolish about the fact that I didn't tell you. So now you know. And we ended up laughing about it because my mom has never been a negative person. My mother has never been one to talk to me in a negative fashion. I never worried about talking to my mother. And so what we both realized as we were discussing this was that it wasn't my mother I was worried or concerned about telling. It was my dad. And the interesting thing is, my dad passed away almost 4 years ago. And my dad was a difficult man. We had a contentious relationship at various points of my life. And he was not an easy man. And I realized as my mother and I were talking that I had become so accustomed to the negativity that I would receive from my father when we would speak on the phone about just about anything. You know, he was right about everything. And I know, of course, you could say, well, that's a parent thing, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. This is a whole other level. I loved my dad, and we did have a closer relationship as I got older. So without going into some long, involved spiel about, you know, my dad and my relationship with him, because, you know, let's face it, there's almost 50 years of relationship there. But what I will say is that it became very clear to me that I had internalized the negativity from my dad, so much so that I wanted to avoid having to have those sorts of interactions with him. It wasn't a conscious thing. It was subconscious, because as I mentioned, my dad passed away, but I was still living under that cloud of negativity that had come from our interactions. It was a learning experience. It was a conversation that left me going, the things you don't realize. The fact that even as an adult child, you can be impacted by what isn't necessarily the best relationship with a parent. So there you go. That's the answer to that question. My mom thought it was great. Of course, she would worry about me, but she essentially encouraged me, told me to, you know, enjoy it. And she wanted a picture of me on the motorcycle. The other thing I wanted to talk about here is, it's interesting that the internet is an interesting place. People are so very different and so unique, and that isn't always a good thing. I've had people who watched my very first video where I talk about the fact that I am an introvert essentially say, no, you're not. So I am taking a moment now, friends, to share with those of you who may be confused about what an introvert actually is. And I'm going to talk about this in an umbrella fashion, but here it is. The difference between an introvert, the basic difference between an introvert and an extrovert, is that an introvert is drained by social activity and has to take time away to recharge their batteries. An extrovert is the opposite, in that they thrive on social interaction, large group events, things of that nature, and that is how they recharge their batteries. So when I say that I'm an introvert, I should know, because I'm talking about myself. No offense, but hey, there it is. That's what I am. I think sometimes people misunderstand introversion, and they think that everyone who is an introvert is shy. And that is about as far from the truth as you can possibly get. Are people who tend to be shy more likely to be introverts? Absolutely. But the vast majority of people who I know who are introverts are not shy people. I am not a shy person. I am not, I don't have social awkwardness to the point where I'm unable to communicate with people. I'm outgoing. But I can only take large socialization opportunities in small doses. I tend to have just a few people that I will spend one-on-one time with, or, you know, small group time together. But I try to avoid large social occasions because they drain me. Oh man. Okay, there's nobody behind me, there's nobody in front of me. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. I know this was a bit of a random talk, but I did take you on a new road. There were some pretty trees. It's nice out, the weather's great. I actually get to have a little bit of air in my face, and I don't feel cold or super hot and sweaty. But that's all I have for you this week. I sure appreciate you joining me. Come back, see me. I will try to post every Thursday evening as my schedule allows. That is my plan, but there will be times from here and now that I miss a Thursday night because I have other things that I'm obligated to do. I will be back to posting a park video next Thursday, assuming the weather cooperates this weekend. I will be sharing a new park with you, and I'm looking forward to doing that. you will get to see another beautiful example of the unique Florida landscape. Until then, y'all have a great one, and I will see you next time.